ultimately the end user is learners, teachers, schools, parents, and actually understand what those people want, moving forward, what the next 5 years is going to be. Because we've been investing a lot in technology, and to make the wrong mistake would be quite kind of foolish for us. So it's an honest conversation, so if anyone's got any questions, fire in as we kind of move forward. But I'll just kind of take you through the journey. My background, I came in to work for Dawn originally as CTO, and it was 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was to look at technology at the time. We've got a fairly successful learning platform with how many million users? I get told so many millions here, there and everywhere. So I've been given two numbers. I've got 2.1 million users in my head from somewhere, and then I've got 1.1 million users in my head. But we've got about 1 million users on the platform that are contracted, paid for, licensed users. So that equates to about 3,500 schools, and I've been told about 22 countries. So that's a big number. But what really scares me is actually when you start looking at the stats. So I'm seeing numbers of 7.5 million visits a week, Clayton. And I'm thinking that's a lot of users to deal with. And if I was an e-commerce site, which I thought about changing the business into selling something online, we'd be making a lot of money by that. So there's a lot of traffic, and I'm sure everyone knows about 12 months ago we had huge performance issues on the platform, and we had to invest just slightly short of £1 million in terms of looking at the infrastructure and being able to cope with that kind of demand and growth as we kind of move forward. So we know this thing's being used, and we can see that it's actually really sticky in terms of when people are in the platform, they're spending a lot of time there. So you can see the stats, and when people log in, they're spending 30 minutes at a time, they're spending hours at a time on the platform doing things. They're uploading tons of resources because we keep running out of disk space in our server hosting facilities. So we know that this thing's being used. But we also hear all this stuff about learning platforms not being the future, or being a fad, or being a phase. So it's like, well, what's going on? How do we generate a new product from all this kind of stuff? So we started 18 months ago, and it took us about 12 months to sort out infrastructure, to build as a platform to support the existing product. And I guess my background coming from interface looks clunky, and I think it's fair to say everyone would probably agree with that. Certainly when I start looking through the support logs, we need to do a fundamental refresh of the interface. So we kicked off a process 18 months ago, and then back in November we actually realised that we needed to also look at the business. There was clouds on the horizon, there was a recession on the way, and we also realised with where public spending was going to be, we needed to be a lot more agile as an organisation. So back in November we kicked off a process not only to just look at our product, but to ring fence the investment that we put into our product, but also to actually gear up what Uniservity is. And the key message that came from that is that the business is predominantly an education business. We've got a very good technology team behind the business developing good technology, but actually the reason why we've been so successful in terms of our install base and our sales, and the reason why we've got 1 million users on the platform is not necessarily down to our technology. It's down because the way we sell our education messaging. So point one, we are an education, or as Fiona calls it, a learning business, which I agree with. I agree 100%. So November time, we did a restructure, and what I'm going to talk through today is just what Uniservity is, and then as we start to drive into the product, we'll try and share how we meet the values of Uniservity as a business through our technology as we kind of reach out to our new users moving forward and our existing users. So let's jump to the first slide. Just to kind of recap, we've got a very, very short video. There's outside of education, there's a lot happening that's being driven by those digital natives, and I think, as I said, devices and social networking is by far the biggest change. iPad, iPhone are making a huge change moving forward, but the social networking solutions are by far the biggest enhancer or catalyst to this kind of change. And if you look what's happening in the corporate world, domain-based websites are starting to become a thing of the past, and organisations are just getting to a point where they see this barrier, this membrane that's stopping all those new users, all those users which are absolutely within our user base, getting to corporate-based websites. So they can't deal with their marketing message, they can't get the message to their end user because they're getting stuck in this layer of social network. Simply because they're too sticky. Facebook announced that they're doing a tie-up with Skype earlier on this week about Skype and Facebook and the Facebook platform starting to become that core messaging and communication interface. Apple have launched a new social network, to back up with the devices that are rolling out. So there's a lot going on in that space that's meaning that actually businesses are having to start to adapt. When you start looking at our user numbers, when we've got 7.1 million visits a week or a month or whenever it is, and you rank that traffic compared with the top 29 global social networking sites, we're achieving more visits on our platform than Google or in South America, which is the biggest social networking platform in South America. So we're kind of ranked 21 in terms of usage, which is great, and we can see why that usage is, because we're actually providing this safe wall guarding environment that has both learning tools, user-generated content, resources, a community to schools. And we both support formal education, and what we're trying to do more is support education in the home and support the parents as we go along that journey. So we'll play a video just to kind of give some stats around what's happening out there, and then we'll start to drive down in terms of into our business and what we're trying to do with it. If the video works.
Some really nice background music I'm going to put on for you now.
So just some interesting stats there. And I guess at this point, we're not trying to compete with Facebook. So it won't work.
Isn't it interesting, though, that in that environment, I will still do my development plan as a Word document. I'll email it to my senior leadership team. They'll each make their adjustments, and we'll, should we say, email it back. There'll be 5 different versions. We'll work out which is the master version, rather than having one central version in a central place, even now.
It's called a wiki.
I know, but we don't do it, do we? Because that's not Word, and we don't understand what a wiki is. We just worry about it being Word. And I want to print it out, don't I? And I want to be able to email it to. And
I guess it's a changing world, and just that evolution. We was closing down Manchester. We went through quite a lengthy process to win that as a local authority, and it got to the point where I had to do a big passionate plea when we got to the final bit about nailing the contract, and there was mistakes. We got questions about finances and various other things, and in terms of where we are as a business. I just reflect on the last 10 years and say, well, actually, we've achieved this, and along that way, we've all collectively, as a sector, made mistakes, and we've not moved quick in some areas, or we've moved faster in others. But actually, we've got usage, which is the biggest indicator that this thing is really working, and that's not because somebody's bought a license for something; it's actual, real, sticky usage. And that's what we're really trying to build on today in terms of our tools and our technologies to really capitalise on what is being used on a regular basis, but also provide that choice and that flexibility for people moving forward for that next 10 years of our existence. So today, if you look at the challenges for us, we've got ongoing, we've got a strategic spending review that's happening at the moment, which is obviously a threat for a business that does most of its work in the public sector. We've also got devices, we've got changing usage patterns. We need to provide a more efficient, cost-effective solution for our end users. We need to be more flexible in our approach, our interface. We need to have better tools. We need to be more open to be able to provide or enable our schools to do more things with the platform. We get threats from Google, from Microsoft, from Facebook in terms of our technology. So it's clear that we're never ever going to be in a position to compete with those organisations, but they have the right model because they're open. And our plan moving forward is to be more open in terms of our tools, our APIs, so people can integrate and extend our platform, so it's not closed and proprietary. But I guess the biggest thing that's kind of driving us in the short term is efficient, cost-effective solutions, which is by far the thing we're trying to get into our platform, so we are cost-effective, so we can really support the public sector moving forward as difficult decisions are starting to happen. So I'll jump on to the next slide now. So, in terms of the landscape, the video really just describes some of the stats and the threats behind us, but also, we need to work alongside these tools, these platforms moving forward, and as a business we need to be able to adapt to this particular space. I've got a whole slide of notes of particular stats which we presented on in terms of usage and how many 12 million views on what's that one, 24 hours of video content was added on YouTube every minute. When you start looking at these kind of stats, it's about how much of that is real educational material and how much can our technology really enhance and work alongside these kind of core technologies to be able to deliver that. If you look at the publishing sector, nobody's moved forward in 200 years. Books are still by far when you start working with people like Oxford University Press and Cambridge, to try and work with them to move forward to enable their content to be consumed on our platform, you just actually realise how slow those organisations are to adapt. iBooks comes along and really puts the quivers up them all, and they're actually realising they've got to do something a lot quicker and they've got to move a lot quicker. So, there are catalysts that are happening now that I've not seen, particularly in the publishing sector. We've been trying to do stuff for years in that space, but you can see that actually there's that movement starting to happen, and it's being driven by some big players centrally with new devices. So where we go moving forward is, we have to throw all this into the melting pot, but above all, look at who we are as a business, but then how our platform and our technology kind of moves forward. So I'll jump to the next one. So, new look in terms of what Uniservity is. This is going to be we're just going through stand design at the moment for BET. So BET this year for us, we want to really build on our thinking last year, but be in a position where we want to be able to be seen as that next generation, both technology but also business operating in this space. BET, I've been going for years now, and it doesn't seem to have moved forward. You see new product technologies coming online. You see the same people trying to push the same message. We actually want to be something different this year. We're trying to build up to that particular point, and we actually believe that we're now in a position where we've both got the technology but also the thought processes and the team to be able to offer something different to the market. So, not just a new look, we've also got technology and products to be able to support it. So, this core thing here, be unique, which is Kerry's idea. What is Uniservity, and how, as a business, do we reach our end users and stay true to our end users and offer the services and technology and products that basically underpins that next generation of users? And when you start looking at the unique, everyone's unique. Everyone on this planet, as an individual, has requirements, has different sets of requirements. They have their own way of doing things. And if you look at us as an organisation and what we can offer that user as they run through their lifetime journey, both supporting them but supporting the people around them that want to support them, it's all about that user being unique. And I think nowadays, and the reason why things like Facebook are so brilliant, is that they provide that unique view on the world, on that individual. They give you my friends, my connections, things that I'm interested in, my learning. Who's doing it in this particular space at the moment from an education perspective? Nobody. So we want to kind of move into, and we're not going to do this overnight. This is a 5 to 10 year plan, but this